homeschool.
Guys, summer is almost over and I am completely gutted by that fact. That being said, I have actually been living my best summer life all the way to the max, the most I possibly can. And I have just, soaked up every day. I mean, I feel like that's another version of saying the same thing. But today, I want to bring you along for all of the other things that I have been up to this summer, because once again, it's kind of taken me a minute to like back up and catch you guys up. We had more family members visit town. We have been spending a lot of time at the lake. I have been cooking, but I've definitely been cooking a lot lighter lately. Trips to the library, picking berries. I actually took a class recently to learn how to use firearms, which was crazy. We visited a farm and had an incredible time there touring and eating delicious food. And I'm just gonna bring you around with me as I soak up literally the last few minutes of summer. I wanna share my heart, my thoughts with you guys. And with all that being said, let's hop right in. So it is Saturday, whoop, 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 and we have quite the plans for the day. Oh yeah, dancing taking place. We are obviously nearing the end of summer, and that does make me a little bit sad because it means winter's approaching. And don't get me wrong, I like winter. I love having the seasons. It's honestly one of the reasons that we left California. Not totally, not really, but like one of them. But I do get a little bit like pre-worried about deep winter, and I need to not, because honestly we've got months to go and we're still in summer. But point being is we're soaking up every last minute of summer that we can. So today on this fine Saturday, we have some fun plans ahead. I'm going to bring you guys along with us. And yeah, but first I came out to get some sun in my eyes. I'm going to do a little stretching. Then I'm going to make breakfast and I'm going to do my full-blown workout every 3 days. So I do a workout, then I take a 2-day rest, then I work out again. So every 3 days, I try to do like my full body physical therapy and workout routine, which is a lot. It takes me like 2 hours to get through. But it's kind of necessary. If you've been around my channel for any period of time, you know that I have historically had a hard time gaining muscle. I have historically been prone to injuries. So my physical therapy routine is like literally necessary for me to exist as a human, and especially as a mom. So good morning, chickens. Good morning. Hello. Let's get this day popping. So I've mentioned this before. I actually made a whole video about the morning routine that like low-key literally changed my life. It was developed because I have been working with a hyperemesis gravidarum coach online. She's like a specialist. If you don't know what that is, that basically means when you're pregnant, you have morning sickness all throughout the day for like an extended period of time. In my case, I had it for like 38 weeks, 39 weeks, something like that. It was as crazy as it sounds. And so my morning routine, getting sun in my eyes, grounding, all of that, I detail it in that video if you want to check it out, but that is what I am doing here and it feels amazing. I've also made it a habit to water our plants in the morning. To those of you that have been asking, because I have been asked quite a bit if we gardened this year, and I will say we gardened more this year than we gardened last year, but we really failed. We really didn't garden this year. And then on top of that, the things that we did kind of succeed at, or really it's all God succeeding at the gardening, let's be real. Lizzie just picked and ate. Like we had probably 12 big purpley tomatoes growing on our tomato plant on this one, and Lizzie picked all of them before they were ripe. We've had like a handful of cherry tomatoes on this plant, but it really hasn't been much. Probably our most productive thing, no, definitely our most productive thing has been our blackberry bush or vine, I guess you could say, that we planted like 2 years ago, 3 years ago, and it's never produced anything. And this year it finally produced. What's going on, guys?
Yeah, ripe tomato.
Oh, that's not exactly fully ripe. I mean, our sage and our rosemary has done well. We have a couple of squashes growing over here, and we have like a pumpkin growing. Now, as you can see, we have literally let weeds go completely wild. And this next year, I have a couple strawberries that are like almost ripe under there. We've eaten a handful of strawberries, but mostly, oh, that's parsley right there. Mostly, I want to figure out, by the way, I want to dry up rosemary for the winter and some of that sage as well. But we've mostly eaten from, like I said, our blackberry vine. And you can see that like Oh, those ones, did they dry out before we could get to them? I think they did. But we have more coming in right there and back there. We've eaten like quite a few blackberries, honestly. Just the last few days have been crazy, so I think we've missed a couple. Oh, look. Oh my gosh. Guys. Oh my gosh. Okay, we're gonna pick those right now. All right, guys. Take a bite here. Ooh, that's a bug. Take that bug off. I'm gonna take one.
That one, Mom.
Oh, I take one. Just one. Oh. Take one. Yeah. Yeah. Mm.
It's amazing.
Bless you. Bless you. You want one more? Go give this one to Daddy. He only got one. Sorry, Dan.
So after I do my grounding in the morning, I'm always thirsty because I didn't show this on camera, obviously, but I did my coconut oil pulling for 10 minutes. I scraped my tongue, brushed my teeth, did my grounding, drank some water, gave Lizzie a little bowl of some food, and yeah. So one of the things that we did when my sister Shayna was in town, and I forgot to share this, was we went to the North Idaho, I don't know why I have to say that, that's where I live, but I think that's what it's called, like the North Idaho Street Fair, Craft Fair. Not sure, but as you can see, all of the stuff that was at this fair, pretty much all of it, was like local businesses and handmade stuff. And these donuts, which actually get featured like twice in this video, are from a new local donut shop called Lantern Donuts.
So this glazed donut is brioche, and it's so good. It's actually insane. Guys, show it to her.
So yeah, we saw a ton of the coolest stuff. We didn't actually end up buying anything other than a donut and sunglasses for Lizzie. My brother also met up with us when we were downtown because he was going to be meeting up with some friends. So we hung out with him first, and it was just so fun hanging out with Shayna, and I miss her already. We also went to the lake. I think this was later that night. This is Honeysuckle Beach, which is near-ish our house. And we had a great time. So something else that I did recently was I went to a class called Entertaining by Nature with a, I don't know, you'd call it like a program, an organization, a group called Victory Mamas. This was actually started by my friend Danica, which is the woman leading this class. And this class was all about how to host people in your home. I really don't have much experience doing that, and I actually am very intimidated by hosting, but I don't want to be. And Danica is an excellent host, and she like hosts in the vibe that I want. It's all very naturey, very yeah, just natural. I don't know, now I'm using the same words. You get the gist though. I love Danica's vibe, so I was excited not only to learn more about hosting, but specifically from Miss Danica. By the way, that morning, I think I should have put this at the beginning of the video, but another friend of mine actually has this little farm stand where her daughter sells homemade granola and homemade cookies, and we stopped by that morning after we had done our grounding, although I do my grounding every morning, like I said, and picked up some stuff, and it was delicious. Okay, so we recently discovered a spot near the lake where there are tons of wild blackberries growing. So we came to the lake this day specifically with the intention of picking buckets of blackberries, which we did, and it was as dreamy as it sounds. The only thing is these are actually thorned blackberries. So the ones in our backyard are thornless, which is amazing, but these are just wild and free, so that's also amazing. So it was really fun to just hang out by the water. It wasn't too hot, it wasn't cold at all, and we just picked berries and hung out, like I said, next to the water. Oh, we also did little sand tattoos, which I think I'm going to show you in a second, and I sipped on a passion fruit iced tea that I had picked up at Tear. By the way, if you're wondering what I'm wearing and you know you haven't heard me shout them out in my videos, I am wearing my swim dress from Honeymark. I am obsessed with Honeymark, and I love that you can just like wear the swim dresses and the rompers just out and about, and then also hop into the lake. And I've actually gone out to eat. I've gone to grocery stores like straight after the lake. They're amazing. I have a discount code. Those are the berries, by the way. How amazing. We came home with like 3 buckets of berries. As I was saying, if you want to use the code Nikki10, that'll get you 10% off of your Honeymark purchase. And I always appreciate when you guys use my codes. It means so much to me. I can't recommend their stuff enough. Also, this is me showing you what I meant by a sand tattoo. I saw this on like, I don't know, TikTok or Instagram. And I swear we spent like 15 minutes alone just making sand tattoos and building little like walls with sticks and leaves and feathers, and just having a grand time hanging out. These are honestly the types of things I dreamed of doing when we moved away from the town that we lived in California. I wanted to have easy access to water, and every time I come to the lake, I kind of just can't believe that I get that now. So on this day, you will see my mother and father-in-law, I think, in this video. We made our way to the state fair. So this was a blast. They were in town visiting, and by the grace of God, we were healthy at this point, because when they first got there, we had norovirus. Sorry, this is kind of gross commentary for such cute footage, but after like 2 days, we were better, and they ended up not catching it. So we made our way to the fair, and we had a blast. It was so nice being able to see all of the animals and get some sunshine, fresh air, and just hang out and enjoy our time with Dan's parents while they were visiting us. They actually live in Texas, and we see them, I'd say, like twice a year. And maybe once a year. We actually haven't seen them in almost exactly a year. And so it was so cool to be able to hang out, dance to the music, see the animals and the cool plants. Logan had a great time looking at the bees up close. We recently got a book from the library about bees. And Lizzie is just enjoying her newfound ability to walk and roam. Also, I was really surprised by how my hair looked, because that was literally hair that was just braided in the lake that I just took down out of braids. And I was like, hey, my hair does not look bad. So anyways, the boys rode a couple of fair rides, including the Ferris wheel. I did not ride any rides because I just didn't. I don't know. I didn't feel like spending the money for potentially unsafe fair rides. No, it's fine. It's fine. But some people actually are legit, like they will avoid fair rides, and I can kind of totally understand that.
Are we high?
Yeah.
But the boys wanted to ride a couple. This ride was kind of funny because Logan wanted to do that, but I am like completely positive he had no idea what he was signing up for when he got on this ride, because the look of shock on his face when this ride came down, by the way, that's slow motion footage. If you didn't catch that, that ride does not move that slowly. But he was really shocked. He definitely was surprised. They actually ended up going back later that week and they rode it again. But we also saw a magic show, and that was a great time because both Logan and Dan ended up getting to participate in the show. This guy was hilarious. He definitely knew his audience because he was making a lot of North Idaho jokes about, you know, the government, fiat currency, freedom, just all kinds of funny stuff. He was great. And I had a ton of fun getting to cheer my boys on. And it felt like a throwback for Dan, because to those of you that didn't know, when Dan and I first were dating, we actually both worked at Six Flags Magic Mountain, and Dan was actually a fuzzy for a while. So I swear he actually has a lot of fun getting to like dance and do fun random things like that. So here we are back at the lake. You're gonna get a lot of like intermittent footage of us at the lake, because honestly, every single day that it is warm enough to go to the lake, that is where you can catch us. This definitely was a different day, but we're putting it in like it's the same day. Logan and I had made our way down here in the afternoon because that's typically when we go. So we don't have air conditioning in our house. So come like 3 or 4 o'clock, it is really hot in our home. And it's just really hot in town in general. It's like peak heat. And so that's actually my favorite time to head down to the lake to cool off. And then when we get home, like any agitation that I might have had is gone, and we just feel great. Yeah! You gonna give us a smile or no smile? Only frowns for Logan. Okay, so do you guys remember the donuts I showed you earlier on in the video? Well, we have been frequenting that donut shop as they are getting ready to open. They have been selling these tasting like sample menus.
How excited are you to try these donuts?
really excited.
That is really exciting.
And they're basically like experimenting with different flavors, getting feedback from people, and selling these little boxes of donuts. And so on this week, it was the Kids Week menu, like kind of slanted towards kids' palates. And we had an absolute blast eating donuts together. We took some pictures for Lantern because all of us are friends with the people that own Lantern.
Logan and I both really love the brioche raised like glazed donut. Oh my gosh. Just a little bite.
So yeah, we had a great time just hanging out, me and my friends and my friends' kids eating donuts. It's really sad though, you're gonna see in a minute. We only had a couple bites because we wanted to bring them home to eat over the next few days. Well, Lizzie ended up tearing into the whole box and destroying all the donuts.
It's me and Elizabeth and her pigtails. Yeah. Lizzie destroyed our potential of having donuts later. Guess we'll just have to go back someday. This is very sad.
Seeing Lizzie's face like this is kind of funny editing, like her scowling after tearing apart her donuts. Anyways, one of our new favorite things is going to the library. Our libraries here are like awesome, like way better than I remember my libraries being in our town in Los Angeles. It's massive and full of different activities and all kinds of things that you can check out. So not only can you check out books, but you can actually check out like games and puzzles, and probably all of you knew that and I didn't, but this is now like my ultimate homeschooling resource. In the elevator. It's cool too because we actually have multiple libraries in town. This is just one of them. Look at that. You can even get seeds from the library. How crazy is that? They do like plant swaps. Here we are checking out like the things section, and we did end up checking out a couple of games, a card game, a board game. Just really awesome, and we had a fantastic time.
This was a successful trip to the library. Honestly, the library is now my current, like, should I say hyper fixation? I feel like the library is the ultimate homeschool mom like tool because it gets us out of the house. There's somewhere they can play, he can play, and then it's just a constant flow of like satiating curiosity, new activities, just fun times had by all. So
one of the things that we got from the library, by the way, was this puzzle set, quote unquote, for seniors, but I thought it was perfect for kids, and Logan had a blast putting his puzzle together. So on this day, I made my way to the Fernan Rod and Gun Club. I think that's what it's called, because I was going to be taking a class with an organization or group called Girls Just Want to Have Guns. I'm going to tell you a little bit more about it. It was amazing. Spoiler alert.
It is finally happening. And I say finally because I have been talking about learning how to properly shoot a gun. Not even properly, let's just be real. I don't know how to shoot a gun, period. I've been waiting for this moment for literally years. There's a lot of reasons. I mean, I think in general, I'm like a classic American. I really believe in the right to bear arms for a lot of reasons, but probably top of the list is just like self-protection, protection of yourself, protection of your family. And especially as a woman, I do think that a firearm is like a great equalizer between the genders, between someone who's just maybe more powerful than you. But I have been too scared. I've been too scared for years. And on top of that, okay, so Dan is like really well trained in his firearms. My dad is pretty comfortable with guns. Like I always grew up knowing we had guns in the house if there was ever an emergency. But he's not like, you know, what it would be like gunslinger, like I don't know what the phrase would be. Dan is definitely more into it than my dad is. And oh my gosh, I'm hearing the gunfire and it's like kind of freaking me out. I don't know if you guys are even able to hear it. But the funny thing is I pulled up and kind of forgot where I was for a minute and started hearing gunfire, and I'm like, oh my gosh, gunfire. And I'm like, girl, you're here to learn how to fire guns. So I'm a little freaked out, but I think this is gonna be perfect because what finally made me take the plunge is I got invited to something called Girls Just Want to Have Guns. And just like probably the title implies, this is a female gun training class, and it is a beginner level gun training class. So I'm nervous, but I'm excited because it's definitely time. And I feel like especially, this is gonna sound really dramatic, but especially once I got canceled, I remember thinking that, like, you know, we received like death threats, like texts of pictures of our house and our address and people leaving me horrible voice messages. And it really freaked me out, not only just because I was going through trauma at the time, obviously, of losing Bowser and just the pain that comes with that, but then being like inundated with all of these hateful messages, not only on social media, but directly to my phone. And just, it caught me off guard. It freaked me out. And I remember thinking that I felt like I would have been a lot less freaked out if I knew how to use a gun. I felt like I just would have felt less scared. And so ever since then, I've been like, it's gonna happen, it's gonna happen. Dan has kind of made fun of me over the years because he's like, really, is it ever gonna happen? And when I got this invite, I was like, now, this is the time, this is the place, it's gonna happen. And so yeah, I'm excited. Like I said, to be honest, I'm more nervous than I am excited. So this place that it's happening at is a place called the Fernan Rod and Gun Club. It's like a private gun range, but it's open to the public, I guess, on this day. And the chick that's running this class decided to run it here. So she doesn't even live here. She lives in Arizona, I guess. Super cute girl. And yeah, so I need to get out and go in because I guess technically my class is supposed to start in like 5 minutes. And I have like an excessive amount of stuff, like way too much stuff with me, honestly. I have like my gun bag with all the stuff that Dan packed. I don't even know what's in it. And then I have my personal bag, which has like my breast pumps, my snacks. Oh my gosh, did you hear that? Holy Toledo, here we go, guys. Let's go.
So for the record, I am pretty sure that Addie travels and does this class like in different places. I mean, obviously she traveled here, but she also has family out here. If you ever have a chance to take this class, I highly recommend it because it really was so cool. I showed up, by the way, like when the first class was ending and our class was beginning.
Made it.
That's why I was in that group shot. I was in the second class, but what was so cool about this was, just like it's probably being implied, it was only girls that were there, other than the camera guy, who was super sweet and nice and had no commentary for any of us on what we were learning, which was exactly how it needed to be. And she said that in the class. She was like, the whole point of this is to keep men out of this whole learning situation, because you guys know I love Dan so deeply, so very much, but we learn and explain things very differently. And with something as intimidating as a firearm, that curve, that learning curve, or the way in which we learn being so different, is a big deal, and it can be kind of stressful. Like, he has tried to explain this stuff to me so many times over the years, and I just can't, in one ear and out the other. And something about being taught by a girl who communicates like a girl, who understands the fear for a girl, even if she is a different kind of girl, you know, like she's totally built differently, clearly, with everything that she does, she still got it. And I never felt judged or uncomfortable. Like, I would feel kind of uncomfortable to ask a question, and she never answered me in a way that made me feel dumb. In fact, every way that she answered me made me feel empowered and confident, and the opposite of dumb, honestly. Like, she was proud of me for being there and trying to learn. I know it sounds weird, but that was the vibes. So I highly recommend it. I will link her site down below. That's that. Moving on, I had to rush home after this class because we were making our way to our date night out.
What a day. So Dan and I are currently on our way to our farm date. We're out in the middle of nowhere. Not literally, but that's what it feels like. We were just talking about my gun lesson and how crazy that was, and how once you shoot a gun, you're like, yeah, I don't ever want to get hit by a gun. I mean, that's like obvious, right?
Other people are late as well.
I know, right? We're all late together. We are almost a solid hour late because I got really into having a conversation with Addie, the gun teacher, after our gun lesson. Yeah, that was pretty crazy. And now we are on our way to a farm, like I said, kind of in the middle of nowhere. And we're going to be doing some blueberry picking. They're going to be serving us a meal.
We missed that part.
I think we have like minutes left. Yep, we might have missed it. They're going to be serving us a meal, tacos with chicken that they harvested on their farm. And they've made desserts that sound delicious and drinks that sound delicious. They're going to be doing some kind of TED Talk style thing, a tour of the farm. This is crazy though. Like, what the heck? And yeah, I'm really excited. This is a very affordable event. I think this is costing us like $35 total for the two of us. And if we do get to pick blueberries, that's part of what's included. And yeah, my parents are watching the kids. Super excited to be here. Let's do it. was just telling Dan that I get scared. This is lame, right? But I get scared to even say it out loud sometimes because I really do have a hard time with deep winter here in Idaho. But if I ignore that, I ignore my fear, I love it here so much. Like the stuff that we get to do is so dreamy and just stuff that I never really had access to back in California based on where we lived, based on just how long and how hard it is to get to stuff like this. It's like our springs, summers, and falls are literally dreamy. They're dreamy, and I love it so much. Don't you love it, Dan the man?
I love it.
Spoiler alert, the tour of this farm was so cool. It was so rad being able to see their greenhouses, everything that they were growing in the different greenhouses, and also hearing from the family that owned the farm. They ended up, I don't think I got any of like the TED Talk speech that was going on, but everything they were saying, I just kept nodding and clapping along. I was like, yes, yes. They gave this whole speech talking about this book that one of them had read called Family Unfriendly, and it was basically around the concept that so much of modern society, particularly big cities, are just so unfriendly towards family nowadays. And they were talking about how that's not how it should be.
Literally, it's a dream. There's blackberries. Oh, I ate a bug. So good. No!
So we've always had one full-time.
Sorry, that was a pretty blunt cutoff. But yeah, that it's not how it should be. That society, particularly here in the West, like I said, in big cities, is just not super accommodating towards families. Now, I have found living in Idaho that Idaho is actually very family friendly, especially, I feel bad. Like I've just been bashing LA in this video. I mean, part of me kind of is like, I mean, that's why I moved. Like I just genuinely wanted a different lifestyle. But you know, everybody feels comfortable where they feel comfortable, but Idaho is definitely much more family friendly. Side note, this is the meal that we got. It was delicious. We went back for literally like 3 or 4 rounds of tacos and cowboy salsa and different salsas they had made using the peppers on the property. And then we did not get to pick blueberries because they were actually all picked out because we were in fact too late, but we did get to pick a bouquet of flowers, and I am so in love with this flower combo. It's actually currently sitting in my kitchen. Every time I look at it, it makes me so happy, and I'm hoping that in the future I will be able to successfully grow flowers again, because we did it 2 years ago, kind of, and I'd like to do it again.
My love.
How pretty is that? Just so vibrant, so lovely. And the sky, the sunset was gorgeous driving home. I feel like I made you guys wait a long time just to see me do some basic bay cooking. I'm sorry. I had a lot to catch you up on though. But on this day, I decided to make some egg salad. And the egg salad that I'd actually seen this, I don't know, in some kind of short. And they made like protein style egg salad. So I needed to hard boil my eggs. These were eggs from our chickens. They are not producing a ton, but we do have some. So I used them to make this egg salad, hard boiled them. But this is like high protein egg salad. So I'm actually going to be using that cottage cheese I showed in the beginning to add to the protein of this mixture. And while my eggs were boiling, it was time for me to do a little picking up in the kitchen. Sometimes, side note that's not a side note, I feel like all I do all day, every day is like cook, clean, feed, or no, sorry, clean, cook, feed my babies, clean, cook, feed my babies, clean, cook, feed my babies. And I say that to Dan. I said that to Dan a few days ago, and he was like, yeah, sounds kind of like that's just the mom life. And to be honest, I mean, I love it. I love my babies, and I love cooking, but the repetitiveness of it, and sometimes just the summer heat and wanting to be out by the lake, it can get a little hard. But why did I go off on that rant? I don't know. Just thinking about the fact that I'm here cleaning again, just doing dishes all day, every day. And the thing is, my house, I think, is actually way messier in the summer because we spend so much time outside and at the lake that the mess can pile up quickly. I mean, I'm already kind of just like swimming upstream because Lizzie is at the age where she's just getting into things and throwing them everywhere. But on top of that, I'm just not home as much to clean up after the mess. So anyways, did some cleaning, hard-boiled my eggs, peeled my hard-boiled eggs. By the way, I put baking soda in the water to see if the eggs would peel easier. They did a little bit. I know everybody's got different tricks. I've heard people say vinegar. I've tried that. I didn't really notice a difference. At least I think I've tried it. Feel free to leave any of your tips in the comments. And then I peeled all of my eggs, chopped them up, threw them in a bowl, and then I took a big heaping scoop of my cottage cheese. I added a little bit of my homemade avocado oil mayonnaise, as well as my homemade pickled onions, which a bunch of you guys asked in my last video how I made those. Oh, put some Dijon mustard in the mix as well as some red chili pepper flakes, some salt, some pepper. Those pickled onions, though, by the way, are literally just onions, lime, and salt. That's it. And they're delicious and so easy. Nothing fancy, but just so good. So I chopped those up. I think I also put in like a scoop of sweet relish that I had in the fridge. And then I just stirred everything up. And I wanted my meal on this day to be lower carb. I don't eat low carb. You guys know I love sourdough, but I am aware of the carbs that I'm eating every day. Like I am just conscious of like, I'm not trying to eat a whole ton of carbs, like 3 meals a day. You know, days like today where I've actually eaten a lot of donuts. I had a low carb lunch again because of that. But I scooped the egg salad on a poblano pepper that I picked up from a local like neighborhood farm, and it was delicious. So on to another cooking adventure, and on this day I was making my brother's birthday cake. So he has requested this for a while. He wanted a strawberry ice cream cake, and so I just kind of dreamed this up on my own because I couldn't really find anything online that was what I was thinking exactly. I will spoil this and say it was really good, but I would do one thing a little bit differently this time. Anyways, I ground up some graham crackers and then added in some melted butter, and then I pressed all of the crumbs into a pie dish to throw in the oven at 350 to bake for about 8 minutes. And this was fine and easy and smooth. And then I started chopping some strawberries and realized that I actually needed to start candying my nuts, or roasting my nuts, toasting my nuts. So I put my nuts on a pan and I would just toss them so that they could get kind of roasted while I was chopping up my strawberries. That's how I like to do my candy nuts. I like to brown them before I actually add the maple syrup, which is how you get that delicious sweet candy glaze. So yeah, just chopped up all my strawberries. Then I poured my strawberries out onto a towel. This tip was actually given to me by ChatGPT because it basically said that I should dry the strawberries out a little bit so that the water from the strawberries doesn't make the ice cream cake icy. So I did that, and then I pulled my pie crust out of the oven and set that on top of the oven to cool, tossed my nuts while they kept browning, and once I felt that they were sufficiently brown enough, I drizzled my maple syrup over the top, and it just starts sizzling right away. And the whole thing is you want to toss the maple syrup into the nuts. I also added vanilla extract and salt, by the way, to the mix. And you just kind of keep stirring the nuts and cooking them, because what will happen is the maple syrup will essentially reduce down to be really sticky. Now, this is insanely hot, and if you get it on your finger, like it will stick to your finger and create a burn. So be really careful. But then I poured the nuts on the parchment paper and you just let it cool as is. And once the nuts have cooled, then you can chop them up. So I chopped them into like fine pieces. I honestly should have chopped them finer, and I probably should have used all my nuts, spoiler alert, because the nuts were so delicious on the ice cream cake. At this point, I wanted to melt my white chocolate chips, so I put a little bit of coconut oil in there. I really didn't need to do that. Kind of wish I hadn't, but I thought, oh, it'll make it go farther. But I used like the double broiler technique where there was water in the pot and then put the bowl on top and melted my chocolate chips. And once I felt like my strawberries had had enough time, those are the chocolate chips I used, by the way, to dehydrate, then I threw my ice cream in my mixing bowl and threw my strawberries in. Now, this is the part I kind of regret. We just blended it all together till it was all like pink ice cream. And I wish we hadn't done that, because I think it actually made the ice cream icy, which is what we were trying to avoid by drying out the strawberries. I really wish we had just mixed them till the strawberry chunks were in there versus totally immersed in the ice cream. But I just want to stress again, it was delicious. So once the pie crust had cooled and everything was mixed, we poured the ice cream mixture into the pie crust, and then we put all of the candied nuts, or not all of them, but a lot of the candied nuts on top, as well as the leftover fresh strawberries that we did not put into the ice cream mix. And once we had spread that all out nicely on the pie, then we took the white chocolate that I had melted and we drizzled it across the top. Here's the other thing. I definitely should have added Malden salt to the top as well. But guys, it was very, very good. And ice cream cakes are definitely like my favorite thing to make for birthdays now, especially birthdays in the summer. So I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. I hope it was encouraging or inspiring or something to you. I don't know. And if you're having a hard time right now, guys, I've said this before, but just keep swimming. Turn to the Lord and cast your cares upon Him. I will, God willing, see you guys back here soon with another new video. I'm sending you love right now through the mic, through the screen, and that's it. Bye, guys.